Hey everyone, so welcome back to the YouTube channel. What do we got going on today? I am doing some sawing. I am doing some trim work on this old house, and this is a semi-finished basement. You can see behind me it's all unfinished. Kind of got some plans here for this utility room, but I'm working on the other room and I put a fresh coat of paint on it yesterday, and I remembered I had some old casing and baseboard trim from a previous job. This was actually taken off of my farmhouse because somebody put a ridiculous door in the basement. If you're going to be reusing this, I recommend using a cleaner with a degreaser in it. This has been sitting in my house garage, so it's pretty dirty. You want to have a clean surface before you are painting, and this piece is a little bit different, but it is exactly the width that I needed for above the door frame. I've got a little nail here I'm going to pull out, and we're going to get a coat of paint on this. I've got this handy miter box that you put your wood right into it here. You can actually bolt it down to your workbench, which we're kind of working mobile here. This is made by Stanley, and it even comes with a saw. We've had this around. I actually picked this up for cutting through bone for when we didn't have a power meat saw. It worked really good for having H-A-L-V-I-N-G, a pork. We had hung a pig and cut it with this. So, multi-use everything. It's retired from any meat stuff. So I kept this and I hung on to it. Today we're going to be using it for its proper purpose. So I'm super excited about this. It's got markings at the top. It's a little dirty and dusty. But we've got 90 degree, 45 degree, right and left, 0 degree, and 22.5. So we're going to do some cuts on this. We're going to clean this up and get it painted. And I am going to get this wicked nail out of here because we're going into concrete block. We are not going to be reusing the nails. I am going to be gluing this on. Now in the past, I've used like liquid nails for our adhesive, which sometimes you get burned through with that. So I'm trying a new product that I haven't done before called Tight Bond. Loctite has a lot of adhesives at my Menards, but they didn't have any of the Loctite in a pro pack where I could buy more than one single one at a time. So reusing these boards is not a big money saver. For me today, it was a time saver. If I were to stop at, say, Menards on the way here, take the kids in there, of course they're going to want snacks because they know that they have their little snack aisle there. Yesterday it cost me 2 extra Kit Kat bars, 2 containers of Pringles, and probably an extra hour of time. I'm happy with giving them snacks, but my gosh, I was in there forever. Today is Saturday, and I was not wanting to hang out in there. During the week, all the supply stores, Home Depot, Lowe's, Menards, are full of contractors. They know that store by the back of their hand. They know the cashiers. I know which cashiers are fast and which ones are slow. I know where to park. Here's a tip. If you're buying long pieces of lumber like this, long trim work, park on the outside of an aisle so that somebody can't park behind you and block you in so that you can't load your vehicle. So I'm just hitting these lightly with the degreaser. You can sand them if you've got paint on them. Make them as smooth or as nice as you want. Basically, this is working as a primer coat for me, what's already on here. And I know it's going to probably take 2 coats of paint. And I picked up the new Dutch Boy Forever paint. This is new to me, but it is supposed to be lifetime guarantee. This is an interior satin, ultra white. I want this basement to look crisp and clean, not dark and gloomy. And I am going from white walls to kind of an aqua blue. It's actually the same color I had used for my bathroom at home. And when I bought it, I bought a 5-gallon bucket, mixed up some oops paint. This is what I've got, and I tell you, I like it. It is pleasant and nice. This yellow paint was also an oops paint. When you buy the oops paint, you're not fussy about it. This was maybe $15 for a 5-gallon bucket. I bought a 5-gallon bucket of white paint because I needed a lot of it. You're not going to find white in the oops paint very often. The oops paints are colors that somebody else rejected, or maybe they mixed it up for them and they walked away and forgot to pick it up at the paint counter. So then they mark it down. So this gallon size is usually marked down to $5 to $15, depending on which store you're at. They used to always be $5 at Home Depot, but now Home Depot's paints are a lot more expensive, and that's generally going off their Behr brand. We've always used the Behr brand paint in the past because we had a Home Depot closest to us, and now we're kind of experimenting with others. My whole farmhouse has been painted with these Dutch boy paints, and so far they've done really well. Some of them have like Arm & Hammer in them, and I like the container. I like that it's not a metal container that's rusting and getting corroded in my basement. So we've got primer all set in this. And another tip, even though I didn't have this tinted, take it to the paint counter and have them mix it for you, because it takes forever to stir stick this stuff, because who knows how long it was mixed up at the factory and sitting on the shelf. Now, I actually forgot to do it with this one, but I have a stir stick that attaches to a drill, and that really makes it up nice. This is really clumpy and separated, so I am going to take this outside and have it mixed up. Even though I'm only going up the stairs, save yourself an accident. It's called an accident for a reason. I'm going to close this up before I go. As you know, I got little guys, and they're always following not far behind me. And oh my, that little boy got his hands on the paint like crazy yesterday. So let me show you what we've got going on in here. I've got it painted. You can see we've got no trim on. This is looking so much better just with some color, because it was stark white before. And this fireplace looks so out of place just on a bare white wall. Let me know in the comments below what you kind of think I should do here. Pallet walls and shiplap walls are really popular right now, but the realtors are telling sellers, don't do something trendy, because you don't know who's going to come and look at your house. Shocking bright colors and things like that. Because this is concrete blocks, anything I stick to the wall is going to be glued on, and getting that residue off is a nightmare. So if you do a pallet wall, you have to paint the wall dark underneath it, unless you're going to run each strip through a planer. I looked at breaking down some pallets, and it's too much work. Now you can buy a broken down pallet already separated for you at Home Depot, I found out from somebody's blog, and it's so overpriced. I'd rather take the free pallet and break it down myself. But a little accent around here maybe, I don't know quite what to do. So the carpet's staying. Here's all my baseboard that I picked up, and I will tell you this whole room is costing less than $50 to do the baseboard in. So I think the value that it adds to the home is worth the effort to do this. We're still considering turning this area into a bedroom with a walk-in closet, because this room is so big. It's like 12 or 14 feet wide by about 30, so really, really big. Also, below grade square footage in a home, even if you have an egress window, does not count towards your square footage of your home, but it does add to the livable space. Now, when I got this house, there was the old dining area behind me with like a soda fountain counter. I took those out right away and sold the stools on eBay, and that helped me to do some things to the home with the money from selling that. The light fixtures, this is just a single bulb light fixture, and we're putting in a dimmer switch in here. I actually had trouble, this is a bump out for the plumbing upstairs, as well as this cabinet, and they never boxed this in, so we might be figuring out kind of a cupboard space to have that blocked. So this is your main sewer clean out. Not a good thing to box in and not have work to be able to get to that. So we definitely had to keep this. Any ideas you have, let me know. So this is our door we are framing, and it is just cement block, very, very plain and boring. And my son had noticed, and he asked me why. This is rough concrete, and this is smooth. This header was poured in place, and you can see here, this is where they had their board here for their framing. So just a different, stronger type concrete. Maybe not poured in place here, but poured on site. I talked to the local builder that built the neighborhood, and he gave me a lot of information. This originally had a mirror here, and the person who did the mirror, did the glazing, wrote his name on the back and the date. So if you're wondering about the date of your house or the builders, sometimes there's little notes on like the inside lid of the toilet from the year that the house was built, or information maybe behind any insulation and behind the mirrors of who did the work. It's just interesting information to us because we're finding out it's people who are in the neighborhood now who are in their 80s and 90s who built these houses in the 50s. So we are going to do some measurements here on this and do our cutting. So here's how it works set up. Now I did my measurements, marked it on my board, and here I am cutting my mitered 45-degree angle. So this piece was already done for me. So if you're not sure about your angles, just line it up here and know that that is the 45, see? So I need to match that up. And this is the exact length I already needed, so this is just gonna need a coat of paint. And a hint for you also is when you're working with basement baseboard, you wanna have it in the house for 2 days. If you're laying down new flooring or anything like that, have it in here to acclimate to the temperature and the humidity, so that you don't start having trouble with twisting or bowing or anything. So that's why I have all that there. Everything's going to be painted down here so that it will dry nice and slow and not go from the outside humidity that we picked up from outside in the rain to this cooler temperature down here. And it's not a bad idea to run a dehumidifier also to make sure that you have got that going for you, because everything you can do to help with any warping, definitely I advise it. So I need 2 hands so I can saw here and you can watch me, but this is it all set up. Now you can clamp this right on the table also, which I didn't think to grab any clamps. It's also hard to do that with the way this is designed, but see, it's got this little lip right here. So it's just working perfect for me to use on this utility stand while I work. So it's a little slow. The saw could be longer than it is for this 45-degree angle. If I bring this back here too far of a stroke, then it kind of shimmies. I think it might not be a bad idea to clamp the wood and the frame down together. And my table's a little jiggly because it's not mounted to anything. You know, it was probably like $10 or $15. So to not have to borrow or bring a saw over 45 minutes to do this one project, it's tolerable. I think this is a good way to do it for somebody who's starting out. You know, the craftsmen, the old tradesmen, they did everything by hand. So I think now that I've got it mostly through, I'm going to freehand it, because hanging onto this is kind of a pain in the butt. Not able to do it with my dominant hand. Don't want to break that. Oh, nice. Let's go see how it looks. let's show you how it looks. I got lucky. Look at this. We decided we can cut this out or box it in if we want to go around this, but because the way it dips down, see here, if we're to box this in, you'd have to do it pretty small with furring strips instead of like 2x4s to box this in as a proper soffit. I wasn't crazy about losing the space and not having access to something if later on, you know. So we got our angle right. Anyways, perfect. Looks like terrible crap right now until I paint it. Let's go get the other one cut. So we're not exactly level, it's 75 and a half. The other side was 75 3/4. But if I leave the exposed concrete showing, it might be a little too noticeable. So we're just going to kind of make up the difference so that it's not really noticeable by having a slanted top trim piece. Okay, now I have to figure out, that's my 75. Yeah, see, it's just slightly off. Going that way, put my board in here, short measurement on this side. And this is the only trim I have, so I'm being patient, I'm thinking about it. Low on the inside, high on the outside. Really got to talk myself through this. So to make sure my wood doesn't snap, I'm going to do the same thing I did before. Now that I am through the majority of the wood, so you see here, I've got my nice deep angle. I know I'm not going to bury off of that and screw it up, but I'm not through the front. Now this is ranch casing, which this is a ranch style house, so it's perfect. It's thin on this side and thicker on this side. This is about a 1/2 inch. If you were to let this fall and drop, then you get a lot of splinters instead of a smooth edge on the end. And that's the nice thing about a power saw, like a sliding miter saw or a compound saw. I'm sure Craig probably made something like this, K-R-E-G. There's not a lot of Craig products at Menards. Lowe's has a ton of it. And if I ever decide to like really get into a lot of stuff, then I would do that. But see, I was able to just trim off my bad piece, and this was the bottom where it touched my basement floor. It's good to use a shim underneath it. Keep that little bit there so that you're not hitting contact with the bottom in a basement. In an upstairs house, you want to be able to get flooring underneath that too. So I learned these tips from Tom Silva, believe it or not. I was a huge fan of This Old House before the modern This Old House show. I always liked it. So let's go see how this looks. Okay, I think we got it pretty well on. Just to show you, it's hard to see because it's almost the same color. This is a baby blue. Somebody had built a homemade door at our farm and we took it out because it was not made to compensate for moisture because they did not take the wood down. So see here, we'll just glue that on. I'm going to hit this with a coat of paint now. Now here is the adhesive that I told you about that I'm going to be using, and this was available in a 4-pack, and I probably should have bought 2 because I have so many linear feet to put up, but this is going to get me started, and this has to be acclimated for 2 days. And I took this out and got it mixed up. And I know you're not supposed to paint right out of your container, but for this small of a job, I didn't want to pour some in another container. Oh, this is gonna look so good. I don't know about you, but I find it gratifying to watch somebody paint. Baby Bear came down to see what was going on. Oh, this spread's nice. I bought one paint before when we first started working with Menards, and you know, it splattered and did such a terrible job. I don't know what it was. I think it was a Pittsburgh or a Valspar. I'll have to check. I could not believe this exterior paint. It was the worst. This is covering very nice. So you can see it's moving around a bit on me. I am going to go ahead and paint. So this is the one thing that makes this a one-person job, is lining up your corners. Because this is a concrete block corner, they're not perfectly 45 degrees. Because of the mortar, it can have clumps here and there where it's not totally smooth. And unless you want to take a grinder and grind it out and make it totally smooth, it's not worth the time involved in that. You take a little bit of white painter's caulk and you fill in any gaps in the corners here or where your seams are here. You just want to try to make it as level as possible so that there's room for the carpet and padding underneath it. Whatever, you know, if you're going to have a floating floor, anything like that. This is a basement floor carpeting with padding underneath it, so we've got room for both of those. If anybody was to ever do something different, they would just use quarter round butted up against this and stapled into, they call it toenail stapling into it. So the Titebond glue has worked really well. I'm at the end of my 4th tube right now, and I'm going to have to probably open up a 5th tube. Yep. and go open up another one. I'm just pressing this into place, but this is doing the baseboard trim. So thanks for watching, everybody, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.